Excellent.
Okay, yes. Hi, welcome to the Jim Anderson Show. My name is Latasha Martin, and I'm filling in until some other hosts show up. But we are here, and we have an exciting show today. We have our candidate. His name is
Michael Gaynor.
I love that we're going to do a little different type of show today, and we are going to be talking about some issues as it relates to that. So if you are a City of Buffalo resident, or if you're just a concerned citizen from around, today is your day to ask whatever questions you have about this. If you want to call in, you can call in at 716-837-1112. And so what we're going to do to start the show out is I would love for you to introduce yourself to the people and tell them why you've jumped into the marital race.
That sounds great. Thank you again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of Jim Anderson's work over the years. And I've been living here on the East Side for the last 20 years. I moved to Buffalo back in 2005 as an educator and community organizer from Boston, and came through this community and felt pretty captivated by the people and the resources here and the architecture and the communities. And I remember I got off the plane and took the bus down Genesee Street, and I landed downtown and picked up a copy of the Art Voice and started walking all around the communities. And when I would talk to people and engage with people, they would immediately and find out that I was considering moving here. They would immediately take me on this tour of their neighborhood, of their store, of their block or whatever. And it just it was the spirit that I was looking for. Like, that has been always something that has attracted me to Buffalo, is the spirit of the people, the commitment of the people, the resourcefulness of the people. When we started Buffalo Reuse in 2005, we are soon after 2005, I guess it was in 2006, we started talking about it. It was in response to what we were hearing in the news about the vacancy crisis. As you know, and many of your listeners know, the population of Buffalo has decreased by almost half since 1950. And at the time, then Mayor Brown was campaigning on this, very inspirational and very visionary platform of tearing down 10,000 houses in 10 years. And I sat in a cafe and started scrolling some numbers on a napkin and thinking about how much that was going to cost a city, and a city that already was strapped with finite resources and that kind of thing. And it just, to me, the question was, there's got to be a better way. We got to be able to do something different.
Okay, and we already have a caller. It might be Jim, but go ahead.
Hey, Latasha, and hello, Michael.
Hey, how are you, Jim?
Hello, West New York and points beyond. This is Jim Anderson. I'm at the UN. I'm at the UN on this week dealing with the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons, which is very much akin to some concerns we should have about nuclear energy. But I wanted to call in this morning to give my apology, not only to my crew, but also to you, Michael, because I would love to be there in person. I know Murray's on his way in, and Latasha is always on it, and I'm so thankful. And I won't hold on, but I want to wish you well in your campaign. And if there's any question that I think is important for you to answer, it would be helping people understand what is your path forward to victory. And I'm looking forward to just listening online while I'm here. Maybe I can convince the world to listen to you. And I'm just saying, have a great show in Buffalo. This is how we do it everywhere, at home and abroad, and definitely at the UN, which I'm glad to be here on behalf of my community and on behalf of all in the world who is waging struggle and making good trouble in the midst of what we're dealing with. So with that said, I want to thank you. Thanks again, King, and love you all. And Latasha, I'll turn it back over to you and Michael.
Okay, thank you so much, Jim. Safe travels.
We're grateful to have you there, Jim.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know that normally we warm up and ramp up and you share some of your information about this, but there's a bunch of people who are in the marital race.
Of course.
And one of the things that I've been asking, because normally I don't really say much, but I've been wondering what in my mind is, why now? there's people who are very critical of our past mayor. You know, I think he did some great stuff. There's evidence of it. You can't be in a position for 20 years and things not be changed, like the waterfront and some other great projects that are happening. But why now?
Well, why now is because for the first time in the 20 years, we have a more open process where we don't have, a longstanding incumbent, which, as you know about local politics, incumbency is a very powerful force. It's a large force to overcome. It's also just a point in my life where I've been organizing and starting businesses and leading efforts here on the east side of Buffalo. And I do see some positive things, but I also see the positive things that were influenced and redirected because of the will of the people. Like, if you remember back when you brought up the waterfront, so I'll talk about the waterfront.
Okay.
Byron Brown's idea for the waterfront was Bass Pro. That was his vision for the waterfront, was a Bass Pro Star. Well, the only reason that changed is because the people stood up and said, we don't want a Bass Pro. We want something that is more accessible to the community, that brings people and tourists in contact with the waterfront, that creates an affordable, accessible community space, recreational space, business environment that can help all of downtown grow and thrive. And I think that that's, to me, representative of what my role has been on the east side, and the role that I'm going to carve out in this mayoral campaign is that, I think that there are people and the political establishment, they have their vision, right? They have the things that they've worked on for 20 years and 25 years. And you know what I can say is those things haven't been working. I've been living on the east side for 20 years.
Oh, so you actually live on
I
the
live
east
on
side.
Northampton Street, and I've been
okay.
living on Northampton Street for the last 18 years. I moved there in 2007. And, there haven't been tangible benefits that have come to our community. All of the work that's been done and all of the benefit that we have seen, we have done on our own with very little access to power, very little access to money, very little access to resources. And what I believe and what my vision of leadership is that the people that we elect to office should be opening doors for the community. They should be engaging the community. They should be inviting the community to the table. And I have watched for the last 20 years the community on the outside looking in. And that's not acceptable to me. We can do better, and we need to be accountable to our communities, to our people, to our community organizations, to the passion and talent that's in this community that isn't being capitalized on. We need to utilize our resources to do the greatest good. And right now, we just look at politics and we look at decision making through a very narrow lens. We need to be more collaborative in our approach. We need to leverage the assets that we have, a philanthropic sector, a university sector, amazing organizational structure, and community groups and community organizers and activists that are doing real work, but keep banging their heads against the wall. I'm running for mayor because I got a headache.
Okay.
I'm running for mayor because I keep banging my heads against the wall because I got elected officials that aren't listening, that aren't responding to the needs and the will of the people. And you can see it evidenced right now as it's playing out with this Kensington Expressway project.
Okay. So one of the things that I want to, and I hope Murray does come, because yesterday I was listening to his show with the young people. I think they call themselves the Lifesavers.
Yep.
And even with my own son's experience, we've had people come into the booth and say, yes, we'll take a meeting with you young people. And then there's always some type of bureaucracy that happens where that can't happen.
Right. So
help me understand in your plan, how do you plan to get young people engaged in your work?
Well, I mean, let me tell you, it's not just young people, but yes, young people are a force. The thing is, I'll bring up the Humboldt Parkway again, because we had a young person from City Honors, Kevin, who has been organizing and side by side with us through this whole process. And I think that the first thing that we need to do when engaging young people is listen to young people. We think that they're naive. We think that they don't know what's going on. We think that they don't have the experience or the wisdom or the charisma or the leadership to deliver and support our efforts. Okay. But that is a vision that we have created and put on them. If you hand the mic to young people, literally, and you listen to them authentically, and not like where they're just a token member of the board that you bring on because you can say that you have a young person there. No, I'm talking about authentic engagement, where they're given a leadership role, where they're given a stake in the effort. We empowered Kevin to take a leadership role, to present in his voice how this Kensington Expressway project has impacted his life. And, if we empower them and we give them that voice and we give them that opportunity, then they more often than not step up and they fill that void and they fill those shoes and they bring a perspective and a wisdom that as an adults, hey, Murray, we have not capitalized on. And when I say mobilizing resources, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Okay. I'm talking about bringing young people. I'm talking about bringing block club leaders. I'm talking about bringing not-for-profit professionals to the table and giving them a seat. I respect history. I honor history, and I honor the work that came before me, before I moved to Buffalo. But I also acknowledge that there is wisdom and power in the here and now, and the people that live in the community now, and the people that want something different for their communities and their families.
Okay. And Murray just got here because, like I said, I was talking about your young people yesterday, because that was very disturbing that you had a young group of young people, the lifesavers, I think is what you call them, who had come together. They prepared. They were talking about their outfits. They were prepared with questions. They really, really wanted to meet with the marital candidates. And then there was some red tape that got in the way. So now it's delayed, which that can be discouraging. And so I just tried to bring in that perspective to see what it is that Michael would do with young people. And so I don't know if there's another perspective or other information that you'd want to share in reference to that, so that we can make sure that in its totality, I represented that scenario correctly.
Yes, I mean, you're on point when you said sometimes we're not listening to the youth, or they actually engaged in a point of having all this stuff pre-planned out, and 2 days prior to that to say no go. They spent money. You heard them on the air saying they bought shoes, they bought dresses, and they were really, really ready to have this mayoral meet and greet. It wasn't just necessarily to come in to get questions, but the meet and greet, and then to have it postponed or canceled, as they say. I'm hearing them on the outside. Yeah, I'm telling them, but that was disturbing, and it happens a lot. So, Mike, when I heard you talking about the youth perspective, it is essential in this community right now for those that was in the booth yesterday were 18 years old. They're voters. Right. They have the right to vote. So why would they vote for people? A lot of straw in the building, and when they getting turned down on, when they try to have a process or learn government, right? That is a crucial thing for them. So as the mayoral race is going on and folks are saying who's in the race, who's not in the race, these youth and these students deserve that opportunity to know who they want to vote for or who they want to tell their parents to vote for. Right. In the city of Buffalo, we have to stop pushing our youth to the side. It's not your future. Right. It's their future. Right. So I'm hearing you saying you lived on the east side of Buffalo. You came here in 2005. Tasha, you did a great job. My wife was listening for the first time on the air, and she was like, "Who's that lady?" I said, "Well, that's Austin's mom." And but he's been trained. He's not been trained, but he's been groomed into the direction of when is it their turn. And we got to understand that in this race that you're getting ready to get into, it's a 4-year term, which Mayor Brown had 20 years almost in the race.
He was the longest standing mayor.
And the longest standing mayor, and you mentioned that. So you do have some accolades of what took place, whether you like it or not, whether it's been on the east side, north side, or south side. There were some things done in this city that was under his tutelage that we have to give proper to, and then there were some things that was not done. But here we are today with you here as a mayoral candidate in this race here for the city of Buffalo. And you said you came here in 2009. So what makes you more qualified?
I mean, it's not about more qualified. It's about a vision, and it's about an attitude and approach to leadership. When I came here in 2005, I came here to basically start a training program for young people. I came here as an educator, and I wanted to do that. I came here from Boston.
Boston.
Yeah. And And when I got here, I quickly discovered that, they teach you in college, you got to get to a community, you get to know the needs of the community and this. And I did, and I investigated really quickly, and I found out that there were some dramatic needs, particularly when you looked at the dropout rate.
Let's put
which
that mic
was
closer to
yeah,
you
yeah.
so they can hear you a little bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Put that mic closer. Yeah.
Which
There you
is,
go. Yeah.
at the time,
Right.
the dropout rate in the city of Buffalo was 50%. And there were very few opportunities for young people. And I immediately went to work to raise some money and get to the commitment of then the leader of the Mayor's Summer Youth Program, which was I think he worked for the Workforce Investment Board, Jeff Nixon.
Right. I know
And-
Jeff. I played ball with Jeff.
Yeah. And we put together a program to take 10 young people from the east and the west side of Buffalo down to the Allegheny National Forest and provide a job training opportunity.
So
for
let's
them.
stop there. You got on from the airplane to the bus.
Yep.
You rode down Genesee Street.
Yes, sir.
What was your vision of going down Genesee Street?
Well,
from Cheektowaga into Buffalo.
Well, I saw a lot of vacancy. I'm not going to lie to you,
Right.
but
You ain't got to lie. We know it.
But I will tell you this: I was brimming. I didn't leave here, and this is what really distinguishes me as an outsider from people that have lived here.
Why you call yourself outside?
Well, because I'm not born and bred here in Buffalo. That's all. That's all. But I'm also a political outsider too, because I haven't made a career in politics. I've made a career in community change, in organizing and in putting forth good ideas that make a change on the neighborhood level. So in that way, I don't think about change and I don't think about problem solving as a politician. I don't think about it in terms of using political tools to solve problems. I think about it as using community tools. And our greatest tool is our people and our resources and our youth. Like, I think we are way too quick in this world. And you said Buffalo, but it's not, this is not a Buffalo problem with youth. This is a world problem.
Of course.
We don't respect young people. We don't honor young people. And because of that, a lot of them in this city are in the positions that they're in.
Well, so now back to Tasha. I see she was ready to come in on it.
All right, girl,
So
bring
what
it
I
in.
what I would like to do is just, because I'm always about practical things that we've seen. So you've said you've been a community person, and I know you have your organization, Buffalo Reuse, which is, I've heard nothing but great things about it. Can you talk about some specific efforts? I know you talked about Kevin, that you've led some community things in, and I'd just like to hear some of those things.
Well, I'll tell
the
you,
outcomes.
most of my work over the last 15 years has been through direct efforts because of my connection with Buffalo Reuse. So, a lot of what my philosophy is as a leader and as an organizer is about building community. We see a lot of chaos in our world, right? There's school shootings, there's shootings like we had at Tops. There's anxiety,
Well, there's shootings
and
every day
depression.
in our community.
Right.
With young
There's
folks
every day.
Right.
But that the chaos that is our community has come about because of a lack of community and a lack of connection. Like, we need to create authentic opportunities for people to come together, right? To be influential and be powerful in creating positive change. And when we do that, when we organize around the expressway, for example,
33
right?
project.
The 33 Kensington Expressway, we're building community. We're building community strength.
So when you say you're building community strength, one thing that came to our youth when I took them down to the City 33, they had no clue about what you guys were doing.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So the disconnect part is not reaching the right type of folks to give you more leverage in this fight. We're dealing with a lot of older folks, Todd, my age, and you know what? And I'm hearing a lot of people saying, well, back in the day was horses and buggies. Now we driving cars. If you're going to the future, I don't know what it's going to be. Well, Austin and them, they might be flying around, but it's a point that when you're saying that you're doing work in the community as a mayor, give me some stuff real quickly of your vision of what you want to be as a mayor, so we can move on a little bit.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna use it through the lens of the Kensington Expressway. I'm gonna answer that problem through the lens of the Kensington Expressway, because I think it really does shine a light on.
Number one thing issue.
No, it's not my number one issue, but I bring it up often because it exemplifies and it personifies the type of decision making that has managed that has been in the status quo for the last 15 or 20
But
years.
is that a state issue or a city issue?
It's
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The Kensington Expressway is a Buffalo issue.
Okay,
No,
I
am passionate about it.
Her son does that.
It is a Buffalo issue. When the state came in and they destroyed that Humboldt Parkway in 1950 and it ended in 1971 or whatever it is. When they did that, they destroyed a city.
Right.
They destroyed a neighborhood. They divided a city. They segregated a city, and they put a dagger through the heart of the neighborhood. I want to remove that highway.
You want to remove it?
I want the highway removed. I want the highway removed, and I want a fully restored parkway the way that it was in 1950. And people will say, what are you going to do with the cars? Well, let me just tell you, we have one of the best designed cities in the world. And at the time, in 1950, we had twice the population. We had twice the population, and we were moving cars efficiently. Why? Because Joseph Ellicott designed an amazing radial grid structure.
Well, the streets are tore up for right now.
Well, there's potholes in the street.
But
let me just tell you, I got $1.5 billion money at my disposal.
Right.
Now, let me just tell you, they're going to say, well, it's going to back up the project. It's going to hold up. No, it isn't. Right now, the Kensington Expressway is antiquated. The bridges need to be removed. The retaining walls need to be removed. The road surface needs to be removed. It needs to be abated. It all needs to go away. We need to start over. And that is the plan. That is currently the plan. That is the DOT's plan.
Let's go, Michael. That's one piece.
So as long as it's got to already be removed, let's not put back a tunnel. Let's not reinvigorate and reinstitutionalize a division in our city. Let's do something that authentically brings the city back together. Reconnects neighborhoods. Yes. Do you question that a road did it then?
Hold on a second.
Okay. I want to hear it.
Because we live in the 9th most segregated city in the country.
Right.
I feel it's going to take more than a road. There's a mindset of when you go to other cities, and often I know people ask me, I was born here, and people can't believe it. They're like, you're from here, because of the mindset of how slow change happens in the city of Buffalo. And we are also very spoiled with our conveniences, right? So there's nowhere you can go from Elma pretty much to Niagara Falls in less than an hour, right? Anywhere we need to get to.
I just came there.
So the question that I'm asking is, how is a road going to bring us together in a place where we're so separated?
You're absolutely right. I love what you're talking about, because what you're getting to, right, is the root causes. And this is what community engagement does to you, right? When you engage with the community, when you talk to the youth, when you bring people to a collective table to talk about issues, that's what you get to. You get to the root causes. It isn't about a road, right? But it is about reconnection.
So the reconnection is right now, you're running for mayor of the city of Buffalo. And Tasha made it very clear. Does the road make it more? What else did you bring it to the thing?
Well, I'll tell you this.
I need to know.
I haven't been able to.
I need to know
I feel like I started a lot of questions.
I know you've been rolling out.
But it's not about a road. You're right.
Right.
But it is about an environment of engagement, in an environment of empowerment where people feel like they have a voice.
Well, I work with you, Mike.
And I feel like a lot of the disconnect that we feel at the community level, a lot of the apathy, and I know exactly what you're feeling. When I came here too, let me tell you, people looked right in my face and they're like, oh, that Buffalo reuse. Lots of people have talked about that, and nobody's ever been able to get it done. Oh, that'll never happen. Buffalo will never change, this and that. But because I have an outsider's perspective, and because I'm a determined, focused, hardworking individual, I didn't accept that. And then what I did is I found the people that did believe it was possible. I found the people that were willing to roll up their sleeves.
You really revamped the Buffalo Reuse program from other predecessors that had it. From what I know, because I've been here before with them. Keith James was part of South Valley.
He was one of our first. He was one of our first board members.
Buffalo Reuse is a great opportunity because, like you said, they were tearing down houses, and some of the stuff they were tearing down is in restaurants and other places. So that's a great
all over the region.
But now I'm asking you, because I know the 33 project. You talk about that's one of your missions for to be the mayor. What else do you have in your
In my toolbox.
Your toolbox. I use it a lot.
Yeah. So do I.
That we can look forward to, whether it be the west side, north side, east side, or whatever side of Buffalo. What else do you have to bring besides just the 33 project?
Well, that's a great question, and I'll tell you that it has to be about my problem-solving approach and the diligence and the attention to detail and the work ethic that I bring to the table. Like, I came here, I saw that there were troubles with youth, and I started a youth program, and I went out and I trained and I mentored young people. I recruited them on my bicycle.
Right.
And then I came back, and actually I was going to meetings. I had 2 educators that I was going to meetings in Bradford at the hotel, going online while we were organizing Buffalo Reuse, because it was a big momentum shifter, and it was about reinvesting into the East Side communities. You can't just take away. You can't just tear down 10,000 houses and have a hope to improve the quality of life in neighborhoods. You have to put back. So what did we do? We designed a program about creating jobs. We designed a program about delivering resources through our community store so that people could affordably fix up their houses. And we designed a program around training and mentoring and about community development. We planted over 2,000 trees in Maston Park. We started community gardens. We started doing things at the neighborhood level that brought people off their front porches and onto the streets to create positive changes. And I did that for 4 or 5 years. And then I started talking to people, because this is one after I started my own company, Reuse Action, who were like, well, we're having a hard time starting a business. We feel like there's no support for small businesses. So I went out and brought together people, and we started the Foundry.
Are you going to bring in?
Oh, wait, you're one of the ones. Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, so you're one of the ones. No, so you're the one who worked with the 2 young ladies, because from my understanding of the Foundry, it was 2 young ladies who were in college, and a lot of their peers. I gotta talk closer to the mic. Okay, there were 2 young ladies who were doing a college project, and this is the way I heard the story, and maybe I'm talking about a different Foundry. And so they decided to buy a house. And then on that house, they were teaching people how to use the house.
Buffalo First.
Yes.
It was.
And then they moved and bought the building, or got the building across the street, and then it's now a maker's community.
Yeah, it's a makerspace. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love the concept.
Yeah, we moved in. That was actually the original Buffalo Reuse store where the Foundry is now.
So you knew them.
Yeah, Megan, who is the current executive director, was my apprentice at Buffalo Reuse.
I love. Do you know that story?
Yes. I'll bring them in.
So Megan and myself and Kevin, we were all the founders of the Foundry, and we brought together and we created a makerspace. We created a wood shop. We created affordable spaces. I'm still doing this at the Guild. At 980, which is the building where my reuse store is still held, where we have 52 businesses, young entrepreneurs, artists, photographers. And the Foundry is still thriving. They've got youth builders in the building. They've got there's a maker space there. They've got individual workspaces. They still do community events where they invite people to come in at the holidays and stuff like that. But it comes back to this, I handed the reins over to the Foundry in 2015 and moved on and, built my business and organization down the street. But it just comes back to what I'm talking about.
Fast? And then when we try to get businesses for Black folks, we don't get them as fast building wise. This is what I've seen a problem with, a disconnect. You guys got these buildings, right? And they were in our community way before y'all got here. And when there's opportunity for us to buy these buildings, I don't know if you're getting them for $1 or whatever. I don't know, how do you guys get these buildings so fast when people in Buffalo that want to start organizations or buildings can't get them? And that's
first of all, I don't have any of the buildings. The organization, the Foundry, the foundation, Net Positive, owns the building at 298
Corporate
Northampton.
America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a not-for-profit. I wouldn't say it's a corporate America. It's got a community-run board of directors made up of organizations and individuals that are part of the Foundry.
We need more. That's what I'm
saying. It's very diverse.
You're
right. We definitely do need more.
And in your campaign,
we definitely need more.
I think we get ready.
Yeah. We need more.
But Mike, to the point of everyone that's listening, and you're running for mayor, are you endorsed by anyone?
No, I am not.
You're not. So you running on your own. So
I'm running on my own.
We got to take our break. So we're going to take a break and then we'll come back. But we're still on live. And I think, again, I want you to finish your thoughts when we're back on air with this, because I did put up that you're looking for volunteers. Again, we're still on live where people can either donate and volunteer or contact you. But to your point, Murray, I think the difference that I see as a business advisor in a space that I'm working culturally is systematically, I feel like, and again, I think it's a regional mentality in my mind a little bit. So I hope I don't get somebody's gonna call me out on this. I don't know that we take the time to organize, figure out our space, and then figure out collectively how we can work together. Where other cultures, because of the conversations that happen, I learned going through some of these business programs that exist. Like, I didn't realize how many clubs were in Buffalo. Private clubs are in Buffalo that you have to have an invitation to. I didn't really see many of us in these clubs as members there.
Well, Beverly Gray Building, right?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like
I know.
the Saturn Club, the Buffalo Club. What's that women's club? Oh. We're back on air. So we were just talking about
access.
The access. And so when I hear someone who says to me a little different than some other candidates that are saying, I have skin in the game, and when I moved here, I moved into the city. I haven't moved out of the city. And then I've been using my network to build my business, and I recognize my business opens opportunities and conversations that sometimes we won't have. What I do see different in him, because I have a lot of conversations with people who don't look like me, that's just the nature of my work, is it doesn't seem like it's a scarcity mindset. It's a mindset that if you want to have the conversation, I don't know that he would say no. This is the call.
So Mike, as we take this caller that's calling in, plugging in.
Clearly, no, he's still.
So what you're saying is so true. So the reason why we invited you on the Jim Anderson Show, Mike, is because you have worked with a lot of organizations. I believe a couple of folks that's running for mayor is in the same activist style work that you're doing now. Terry Robinson, myself, and others. But I'm not running for mayor. But you collaborate very well with organizations. And is that one of your key points as being a mayor? And I know we got a caller on the air. Is the caller there still?
There's no caller.
Okay. So I think that's it. And quickly as possible, because we got some more stuff for you. Then we're going to talk about some other things.
Well, I think that again, because we'll keep answering the questions, just in little dribble drabbles here and there. But we ask what makes me unique and what makes me most qualified for the job is that problem solving, that work ethic, that desire to see a problem and connect it with resources, to connect it with people, to connect it with the community. Like, that's a big thing, because we have all of this resource, but it's operating in isolation. There's silo here. There's a silo up in University of Buffalo. There's a silo in our philanthropic community. The city of Buffalo, our leadership, it's not a silo. It should be about bringing people together. It should be about coordinating all of these efforts. And I think that because I don't I don't have a strict political following or a political paradigm that I need to follow and hold to. I have a community that I'm accountable. I have a people that I'm accountable to. That's my driving force. You're not going to see me run for Congress in 10 years. You won't.
Why not?
You won't see because I don't have an interest, Murray. Because I don't have an interest. I just don't.
You just have an interest in the mayor.
I have an interest in Buffalo.
There we go.
I have an interest in my home. I have an interest in my family. I have an interest in my children. I have an interest in my neighbors. I went out last night. And I got petitions.
That's what he do. Look,
all right. I went out last night and I got a petition. I got to point out these two people because, and I might tear up. I might tear up. But I'm going to point out. Well, I can say their first name. I think they'd be on
the petition.
No.
We have to be careful.
Yeah, of course. But I'll say that it's Mr. and Mrs. Jane Doe.
There we go. There we go.
And I went to their house. It was about 7:15 last night, and I knocked on their door, and I talked to Mr. Doe, who is at the door, and he just brought, and this is what I've felt going out and petitioning every day. Is that when people, particularly in our community, they want to be engaged. They want
they want to be heard.
So you have to
And this man
Right.
wanted me to hear
you
him.
said to
And
stay there, right? And
yeah,
listen to him.
and I stayed there. I hung out with them for a half hour. They invited me upstairs, and I'm hanging out in their living room. And she poked her head around the corner and poked down the stairs, and she's like, "You're against that tunnel, right?"
Mhm.
And I had not even brought up the Kensington Expressway project. But the point is that they do care about these projects that are happening, and they are engaged. And Mr. Doe was talking about how he has concerns about the youth and how they're not, and the kids out in front, he's always trying to direct them and support them and tell them to clean up your stuff. You can hang out there, but just don't throw trash in our front yard. Let's keep it clean. Let's work together.
Right.
And that was his approach. And her approach was that they want to be engaged. They want to be invited to the table. They want to feel like they have power.
Right.
And there are so many people, including myself, and am I not?
Yes.
I am a white privileged male.
Yes.
Okay. I am the top of the totem pole in terms of power in this country. Okay. I acknowledge that.
Since you
But-
said that, Mike.
Well, hold on.
But let me just finish my thought,
Yeah.
which is to say that, and I am frustrated on a daily level because I don't have that access, right? I don't have that control power. And I see it directed in the wrong ways for the wrong reasons and the wrong purposes, and people are using it for
So will you have
self-gain
it
and
if you-
self-promotion,
will you
and it
have it
should
if
be
you become
directed
mayor?
to the community.
Will you have it if you became mayor?
Here's the thing is,
That's what I'm asking.
I will have it.
See,
And that is important. And then what is important is how we leverage that power and control to do the greatest good in our community and to elevate the leaders. Now, I've been in Buffalo for 20 years and I've never met you, but you are a leader in this community.
Well, I wouldn't
that-
say I'm a leader in the community.
What you are, because what you're doing
Yes,
is
you
you're
are.
bringing together people. All right. You have mothered a phenomenal human that's going to be on stage on Wednesday leading this mayoral debate, right? You're well spoken. You're using tools. You're bringing people together. All right. You should be front page and center of so many of our community
she is.
movements.
She
And
is.
she is. And
So-
she is.
so
But my
let's go
point
here. Let's go here.
is that for every one of you,
Mhm.
there's another 100 people
Of course.
whose names we don't know. And those are the people that we need to bring out and invite them in and get them engaged and participated.
So let's
Because
go
for a
with the
lot of
shakeup.
them, some people have
Mike,
given up.
let's go with the shakeup. Here's the shakeup. You've been talking a lot here on the air on the Jim Anderson Show, but we're on the air with WFO. This is our station. This is what we do, 96.5, the power station. Here's the question. What do you think about Donald Trump, what he just did in the Oval White House right now? What do you, this is the shakeup. Now.
That
This
is a shakeup, but I'm
no,
trying to
hold on.
understand the connection.
No, it is a
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah,
The connection is on the show, we bring in topics that's on our minds, okay?
Okay.
And this has been on my mind, and people are calling me, asking the question I'm asking you.
Yeah.
How do you
Well,
feel about it?
I mean, I'm gonna punt a little bit, Marie,
Punt,
and I'm gonna punt because
Punt.
but what I'm gonna punt it to is something that is relevant right now
Yes,
in this is how we conduct ourselves as leaders
that's what I'm saying.
for our communities.
There we go.
Okay. The only comment that I will say right now is that I'm ashamed
Mhm.
of a president that conducted and utilized his power as the leader of the free world in a way that I believe was disrespectful to another democratically elected leader. And that for me is the only thing I have to say. But it does have relevance
It
here
does.
because we have elected officials here
Thank you.
today
Say what-
that are not honoring
Mhm.
their obligation to the people.
So the reason
okay?
why I asked this question is because, and I'll give you the layout on the Jim Anderson Show. We don't have to. We gonna pull punches on the show. I'm saying it to you clearly. When you have people that's been appointed to position
Mhm.
in the city of Buffalo, and I heard you talking about it.
Yeah.
I googled you talking
Mhm.
about appointments
Mhm.
of folks that's in legislation in the
Mhm.
city government
Mhm.
right now. Is that helping our community or hurting our community? That's
Well,
the question. To you.
What we're talking about is the root causes.
Mhm.
We're just talking about people that are feeling apathetic. They
Right.
feel like they don't have a voice and they feel like they don't have access. And here I am running for a position
Mhm.
and I am excluded
Right.
from the Democratic stage.
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
And I'm excluded. We have a party that represents 70 to 80% of the voters in this city
Right.
that is boasting about having an open and fair and transparent process and then leaves 4 to 5 of the candidates off the stage.
slate.
That's not right. And the problem is it disempowers people. I can't be authentically a leader in this community and say, young person, you have a voice.
Right.
You have power. You have power to an extent. Okay, because the real power brokers are calling the shots behind closed
So, Michael,
doors, and that is why I'm running, is because we need to confront that situation and challenge that
will you be on the
situation.
ballot? I mean, you're going out getting petitions right now.
Yes,
And
sir.
I knew the Democratic Party is 2,000 hits, basically, signatures to be on the ballot. So now, are you working on a different strategy or going through a different party line? Or because this is what happened with me. I'm being clear. You witnessed
I know. I
You
witnessed
witnessed
your
it.
campaign.
You know,
brother.
my campaign was the same way, and I had to go to the conservative line in order for people to vote for me.
Right.
And then what happened was 15% did vote for me.
Right.
But the thing was, they stick to a line.
Right.
And then now, are you going to be on a different line, or are you still going to be trying to make the signature drop of the 2,000 so they still have to have you in a primary?
I'll tell you this: you're going to see Michael Gaynor's name on the ballot in November.
That's what I'm
okay.
That's what I'm asking.
So either I'm going to win the Democratic primary or I'm going to be there elsewhere.
Right.
But I will be on the ballot come
That's the
November, and the reason why is because of the dynamics that we're seeing play out.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very disempowering to be part of a process where I am at a mayoral forum
Say it.
where there are mayoral candidates on the stage and I'm sitting in the audience. I'm sitting in the audience because I was a Democratic committee member that got elected last fall, but I wasn't allowed the opportunity to share my vision and my passion for this city and my belief in its people because of a process that excludes people where they just created their own agenda.
Excuse me, so did that happened to you, but our youth went to that to just walk in, or a citizen should have the right to be
absolutely.
Well,
first of all,
or anything,
of course,
just to sit there to observe.
Right.
And that didn't take place.
If you're authentically and sincerely invested, right, in strengthening and growing in a political party, then I'm sorry, when the endorsement process takes place? On election day.
On election day.
That's when the endorsement process takes place.
Right.
Okay. And if you're authentic and sincere about growing a party and engaging with people, then it should be open to the people, not just a select number of people. It should be should be open to the media, so that the media has a transparent view of what's going on in the Democratic Party. That's engagement. That's authenticity. And I have a problem with all political parties. And if we're going to go even bigger, Murray, party politics has no right to be involved in city government at all.
I like that.
Right? We do not need, it is not, my allegiance is not to any party in the city of Buffalo. My allegiance is to the residents and the community and the people and the youth and the elders and our community leaders. If we are bound to a party, right? A party that in this city where people don't finish their terms, where they don't complete their
appointments,
right? Where they get reelected and then they quit their job the next week and declare their interest in another office. Like, that is not fair to those constituents. You are making decisions to further your political career, to further your political office, and to further your political party at the expense of the constituents that got you there. And that's not fair.
You win a mayoral race, you become the mayor of the city of Buffalo. How long you plan to be there? Would you do 20?
Not a day longer than 8 years.
I get that.
Not a day longer than 8 years.
I respect that.
And you know why? Because I live my values every day.
There you go.
I live my values every day. And I think we should have term limits. I think we should have term limits because if you're doing your job as a leader, if you are empowering voices and you are inviting people to the table and you are choosing and identifying the natural leadership capacity that is in the community, just like the example I just talked about you just now, right? As a leader, I'm going door to door, right? I'm talking to constituents. I'm talking to people. I'm engaging with people that step up when there's a crisis, that defend their communities when they're at risk, that stand up for their children when they feel like they're getting a raw deal, like many parents did with the whole suspension thing last fall, right? Then I'm gonna be able to see from 30,000 feet we need to elevate these voices.
Got
And if we're doing our job, we're not putting leaders in a corner, we're bringing them to the table. And I don't need to run in 8 years because there will be an empowered and engaged electorate of leaders ready to take over
Young folk.
and continue
And
a mission
elders.
for the
And
people.
elders.
Of
Whether
course.
elders.
Okay, so we
Of
only
course.
have like 15 minutes, if
Oh,
that.
boy. Holy
So I
cow.
want to talk about some of the things that are coming up. The
Yes,
first
ma'am.
thing that I have on the screen right now for those who are watching on the live stream is the Buffalo Mayor Forum and East Side Agenda Town Hall. That'll be taking place on this Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's at 5 p.m. to 6:15, and then the
Meriwether
forum
Library.
portion
Right.
is at 6:30 to 7:45, and it is at the Meriwether Library. So that is one event that's coming up.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure we get all these things out here, Murray. So
And
just
can
be
I-
patient with me.
Can I just put
I'm
out a
willing.
call? I would like Sean Ryan and Mayor Scanlon to commit to being there on Wednesday.
So how you
because
know they
at
didn't
right
commit?
now, they have not committed with Miss Sherry Sherrill to participate in that event. And we need all of the voices of all the candidates on stage on Wednesday, because this is what true engagement and accountability looks like.
It's not a debate.
It's not a debate.
Let's
This is
be
about
clear on that.
this is about people coming out and asking questions of their elected officials, of their future leaders, and holding them accountable to that and asking for their vision. And we want to hear Sean Ryan and Mayor Scanlon's vision for the future of Buffalo
Yeah, I
and
have
the
a-
East Side.
Okay, and then the second thing that we have here is you have 3 QR codes
Yes, ma'am.
that are helping to support you. The first QR code on the top says if you want to volunteer.
Right.
The middle one, and the one in the middle says if you want to donate, and the one on the bottom says contact. For those who are technically challenged, if you are watching the live stream, I want to encourage you to take a screenshot, take 3 of them, and then crop in the image and hold on the QR
that's a
code,
lot of work.
and it will take
Ooh,
you
no,
to
no.
the link.
I'll even make it easier.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Just go
Yes.
to just go to
Bro.
michaelgainerformayor.com.
Okay.
Okay, michaelgainerformayor.com, and you can fill out the sheet. We have a full platform of information there about our priorities for the city of Buffalo, about our vision for the future of the East Side and for all of Buffalo. And there's an easy way to sign up to
Michael
volunteer
Gaynor,
and
Michael
to
Gaynor,
donate.
Michael Gaynor.
Okay. So I'm gonna type that in.
And then I'll even do some shameless self promotion here.
Uh-oh.
If you don't use technology, just come to my store.
What if they got the
Just
old
come
phone?
to 980 Northampton Street
Oh, you
on
plugging?
any Tuesday, Friday, or Saturday from 9 to 4, and talk to any of my staff, and they will get
Is
you
that your
signed up and
campaign
get you in
office?
avail. It is for right now. Yeah,
Okay, that's the question. We need
yeah,
to,
yeah,
put out
for
there.
sure.
That is
980
your-
Northampton
That's
Street.
your campaign
Yep.
office.
And
All
we are
right.
there every Tuesday, Friday,
I
and
think you just
Saturday
did,
from 9 to 4.
something on a promo.
980 Northampton.
Northampton
Yeah,
Street.
980 Northampton.
So Mike, as you run for mayor, city of Buffalo, and folks are out there asking the question, would you get into this race if it was not open? What made you
I
get
was
into the race?
I committed last summer
Okay.
to running for mayor. And that was prior to
prior.
Byron resigning, because yes, I have a lot of honor and respect for any elected official that can endure in a position for 19 years and, make some significant
Would you think there would have
strides.
been this many folks in this race?
No, absolutely not.
You went, and then now I believe there is a Republican
Mhm.
candidate just got endorsed. His name is close to yours almost a little bit.
Gardner, right?
Gardner.
Yeah, yeah.
He's running as well, so he will bypass the primary and go right into the general election.
Yep, you'll be on the
As
ballot.
we representing on the Republican Party, we're going to get him here as well. But I'm saying to you, how come you guys didn't get together? Like James McLeod, he came on air. He said something very serious to my youth and others about so many people in this race. You kind of like lose the right person that needs to be there. The collaboration of you guys, the thinkers, could have got together
Mhm.
and organized this the right way to go against whatever party candidate might be.
Right.
And we might have to still go there
Mhm.
on that level in order to get the right person in there so we don't get status quo. Am I right or wrong?
Right. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for those conversations down the road. But what I do believe early on in a campaign is that the larger the chorus of voices,
Right.
the more robust the engagement and the conversation. Think about it right now. We got 8, 10, 11 candidates
Yes,
out there
11.
right now
Yes.
engaging with people, talking to people at the community level about the things that are important to them. And I think that there is value in that.
Right.
Like, I believe that there is value in bringing people out onto their front porches and talking about the issues that are of interest to them and that they're passionate about. And, to answer your question, I committed to it a year and a half ago because of my frustration with trying to create inertia, overcome inertia, and create momentum at the neighborhood level to get things done, and having the door completely and almost entirely slammed in my face. Hey, listen, if you're an elected official and you don't like me, that's fine.
Right.
But you don't need to support me. You don't need to give me money. I've never asked for it. But
That's personal.
don't create an obstacle for
Right.
good people in the community trying to do good work.
It happens all the time.
Speaking of community, the last thing that we have here is the community conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
At the EIS workshop on
Right.
Saturday, March 15th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. at the Delavan Grider Community Center.
Yes, ma'am.
If you could just give a 2-minute response as to what that is,
Okay,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
we'll be getting ready to wrap
Don't
up.
think about EIS because it makes it way more
Okay.
complicated than it really is. It's a community conversation about the future of the Kensington Expressway. And we're at a point now where the East Side Parkways Coalition has mobilized people and financial resources and neighbors from the Humboldt Parkway to confront, challenge, and defeat the New York State's DOT's Kensington Expressway project. They did not do a deep dive into the environmental conditions, the existing environmental conditions and the conditions on the street. And it is now an opportunity for the public to weigh in on what the future of that community ends up looking like and what the impact and the long-term impacts are for the whole region of that project.
So we gotta make sure we
And that's
clear
what
on
that conversation is about.
Okay.
We're also going to be in front of the Common Council on March 18th, and hopefully it will reappear and will be assigned a committee where March 25th, because we need to get the political will in alignment with the public will
So
for this
as you run,
project.
as you run for mayor, we're getting close to shutdown time. Give me your what do you want to say for a person out there listening in to vote for you?
Well, here's the thing. You may not know me personally, okay? But you don't have to look very far to see the positive impacts of the work and the determination and the focus that I have given and committed to over the last 20 years here in Buffalo. If you've ever been to Buffalo Reuse and salvaged building materials or found a door for your house, or if you ever came out to a tree planting where we planted 2,000 trees over the last 10, 12 years in Maston Park and Cold Spring, if you came to an event where we offered you an alternative and an option for a more prosperous, healthier, cleaner Humboldt Parkway project, we succeeded in all of those things because of my commitment, my hard work, my diligence, and my focus, and my unyielding belief in the capacity of our people.
With the 514 piece,
Yes, sir.
we have I had some youth come talk to you last year, I believe.
Mhm.
You were tilling the grounds over there. Who owns that property right there across the street from Tops that you put these beautiful flowers? What was it? Sunflower
Yeah, the
seeds?
Sunfields. Yeah, we call it the Sunfield of Buffalo
owns that?
project.
Who owns that land?
Well,
Because there hasn't
it's
been
private
any-
property.
Hasn't been any. Look,
No
there's
building.
a lot of money came across down Jefferson Avenue. Let's
Yeah.
be clear,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I
It's
know
supposed to
it.
be development, supposed to be happening.
Right.
No ground ceremony, breaking ceremony for that land is either intimate domain or whatever to be used for something to be happening.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you were there tilling,
Yes,
and we
sir.
had a conversation.
We did.
like we having right now,
Mhm.
and we respected each other. But I was like, why put on sunflower seeds or plants there when it's supposed to be either building or
Buildings
something?
or
But then you
businesses.
changed my mindset about beautification and all that there.
Mhm.
But I noticed that these properties are being held for people to either try to gain something more from the government,
Right.
or what are they waiting for?
Well, I'm
And
not
that's in your
gonna.
plan as a mayor.
I'm not
As
going
a
to
mayor.
exactly.
As
As
a
a mayor, I
Yes.
think that we need to look strategically at our vacant property resources, and we have
Yes.
to look strategically at how we're going to build and develop spaces, and we have to do it in a way that builds and develops around our
And
community
money is
assets.
sitting there already for Jefferson
Yeah,
Avenue.
yeah.
You
There's
see
money.
the signage.
Yeah,
I'm talking about big time money came.
big time money.
It's not just because of 514. We know the Urban League is going to be building down
Mhm.
there. And that space just sitting there
Right.
Prime property, even across the street where Lady
It's
Lane does
It's
its
a
food
very
drive.
complicated issue, but at the
Why
end of the
should it
day,
be so
well,
complicated?
it shouldn't be complicated.
Right.
But what we're talking about is a concentrated a neighborhood that has had concentrated poverty
And you
for
live
so many
over there.
years.
You live over there.
For very, very many years. So the private landowners that do own property there aren't going to just sell it to the first person that comes along, and they're not just going to hand it over to the city of Buffalo.
Why not when it's been vacant for so many years, and then we just had this tragic situation happen at Top Supermarket that they now trying to capitalize on what we went through with our hurtness, and now here it is, they want to get more money for the property or whatever. They get on our backs of the people that were slain at Top Supermarket.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're about to wrap up. We have less than 3 minutes left.
Yes.
So I want you to, let's just make it real easy for you to respond, and I want you to have a complete thought for 2 minutes. We're not
Well,
gonna
excuse
interrupt.
me. This is the Jim Anderson show. I'm just saying, but we have time. This is what I'm on the air to do, is to shake him up, and it's not just based on 2 minutes. If we go over it, I think Miss Sheila Brown might give us a little bit more time.
The DJ saying no, so
Okay,
I'm just gonna say in 2
Thank you,
minutes.
Shy.
Can you give us the first 90 days in office,
Ooh,
and then
Wow,
why we
that's a
should
great-
that's a
why
great
we
thing
should
in the book.
support you? So the first 90 days in
You
office,
sure you want the
why
first
we want
90
to do
days?
that?
Because
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
Trump is in for first 90 days.
First 90
Right.
days.
Well, you know what? And there's going to be some shakeup in the first 90
see,
days.
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
And the reason why is because, which we haven't talked about at all, is the irresponsibility of their city finances
There we
over
go.
the last 12 years. And, the first 90 days, here's the first thing that's going to happen. We're going to have a moratorium on overtime, except for in public safety situations, because it is not responsible of public government to be budgeting overtime at 18 million and then spending at 41 million, particularly when we're have very dramatic and pronounced needs all over the city.
Mhm.
It is irresponsible and it is reckless. That's the first thing. We need a plan for the future of our finances, and it's going to involve a rigorous analysis of every department, their staffing, their needs, their responsibilities, their values, so that we can reconfigure and refocus in an alignment with a vision that works every day to solve
Overtime.
city problems. Okay, so that's the first thing, is that we're not going to spend excess money. We're not going to authorize overtime. We're not going to demo more buildings,
Mhm.
because the city has already
Not
demoed
left, Mike.
itself into rubble. Huh?
It's really left.
So we are going to have a moratorium on overtime. We're going to have a moratorium on demolition.
Not firing.
No firing, of
Thank
course
you.
not. Because here's the thing is,
Thank you.
what we need to do is understand the conditions and the situations that people have been working on. What are the values and what are the priorities that have guided them for the last 15 and 20 years? There is amazing wisdom, okay, at City Hall. There are amazingly committed and focused public servants. We see them every day. But what we need to do is have a thorough understanding of where they're operating, what their expenses are, and then we have to refocus. We have to have a big community meeting amongst the leaders of all those departments so that we can come in alignment
And work with
of
common
what our
council.
focuses are, okay, and what our priorities are as a
Right.
people. And then we're going to create a strategy. That's the first thing. The second thing was we got to look at our revenue structure, okay? And people are paying property taxes,
Mhm.
and corporations are paying corporate taxes and corporate property taxes, not corporate taxes, corporate
Uh-oh.
property taxes, and it's not equitable, okay? So what we need to do is bring our values in alignment with our funding streams. And we need to make sure that the communities and the companies with the greatest ability of pay are paying that.
Right.
And yes, there will probably be some tax increases for the rest of the folks too, but we have to make sure that we have protections in place for the most vulnerable communities in our city.
That's what.
And then third and finally, we're going to have a regional conversation that's not just about city government. It's about all of our stakeholders. So thank you so much.
Michael. Your
Right.
website's
Sure.
online. I appreciate you. I think-
MichaelGainerforMayor.com.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Have a great
peace.
day. Thanks,
That's
DJ Shad.